Hello everyone and welcome back to the Odds Now YouTube channel. My name is Matt Hill and I'm delighted to be filming the first of my daily vlogs looking ahead to the action at the 2026 PDC World Championship, which gets underway tomorrow as I'm speaking, Thursday the 11th of December. Obviously we've just got the 4 matches to look forward to on opening night. It's finally here. Can't wait for the tournament to get going now. All the talking can stop and the action can begin. Over the coming, well, obviously we have a break for Christmas, but over the coming 3 weeks or so, I'm going to be penning my thoughts over on oddsnow.com with all my betting tips, but I also wanted to carry on what I did last year in providing these daily videos where just summarising the games that we've got coming up in quick fire fashion and giving my kind of thoughts on how the game might pan out and any bets if I think there are any. Now, please do be aware that prices obviously move, and by the time you're watching this, the odds that were available when I film might not be still available, but I'll be doing a screen share with Odds Checker throughout these videos to make sure that you can see what the markets are doing when I'm filming this and ensure that the prices were in fact there. So without any further ado, let's get into Thursday night's action. Okay, so 4 games for us to take a quick look at on Thursday night, featuring defending world champion Luke Littler, who plays Darius Labanauskas in the 3rd game of the evening. But we'll start at the top of the show with a really intriguing opening match, I think, between Kim Huybrechts and Arno Merk. And as you can see here, as of Wednesday afternoon, plenty of money coming for Kim Huybrechts here, who is a 2-5 best price favourite with Bet365. Arno Merk 9-4 with Sporting Index and BetMGM generally around the 2-1 mark. Now, I actually think that there's a strong chance of an upset here, and I'm going to be playing Arno Merk to win this game. Just talking a little bit about the two. Kim Huybrechts, well, obviously a veteran of the circuit, but I just wonder whether Huybrechts is coming towards the back end of his PDC career. It's been a disappointing year to date. Only £38,000 earned pre-World Championship in 2025, which is disappointing for a player of his caliber. Obviously, turning up to every Pro Tour gets you a certain amount of money. Few European Tour appearances. He's done absolutely nothing of note on the major stage and seems to be struggling with his game. There's far more flat performances than good performances from Kim Huybrechts these days. I suppose there is the possibility that the World Championship stage will bring a better game out of him. He's certainly excelled on this stage many times over the years. But I think, like in any sport, Father Time does catch up with people, and we may just be seeing Huybrechts at the tail end of his career here. Now, the argument is that he won't need to be at his best to beat Arno Merk, and he probably won't. But Arno Merk is a really, really intriguing opponent here. He's a funny one. He was very highly rated as a youngster, won the German Youth Championship as a 17-year-old, played in the BDO World Championship as an 18-year-old, went out in round 1. And then just things didn't seem to go quite right for him, didn't live up to that potential. He actually stepped away from the game for a period. I was watching an interview with Merk the other day, and he went and lived in Italy for a little while and did some sort of mechanical engineering stuff for a few years. Came back to darts fairly recently as 2023. And he's just been building and turned up at the German Super League, which is the last chance qualifier for Germans, and beat a really good field, actually. Won 9 of his 10 group games and then won 4 knockout games. So overall, 13 wins from 14 to seal his spot here. Beating Daniel Closer in the final, who's a previous Ali Pali entrant, former tour card holder, very capable player. And Merk was averaging in the high 80s to low 90s for all of his knockout games, which is a really decent standard. Now, it's very easy to get caught up in averages and ton plus averages, particularly with, we're watching high quality darts all year round here. But generally in round 1, if you're averaging somewhere around 90, unless you're playing one of the top boys, that is quite often enough to win these matches. And I think that Merk will come and with a point to prove. He seems really, really determined. There's a little bit of a subplot here as well, in that these two actually met in a BDO qualifier when Merk was a teenager, and Merk beat Huybrechts. And, he sort of referenced that in his interview and said, I know I can beat him. I've beat him as a kid and I'm gonna beat him again. So there's a lot about the dynamics of this match that I just like. Huybrechts a player on the slide, Merk a player who never fulfilled his potential but comes back with a point to prove. He's clearly playing well and will be absolutely relishing this opportunity. And I think if he hits the ground running here, he has a really good chance of upsetting Huybrechts. So keep this one very simple. I'm going to back Arno Merk to win 9-4 if you can with BetMGM and Sporting Index. If not, anything 2-1 or better, I think is absolutely fine here for this opening match of the tournament. Moving on to game 2 then, Michael Smith takes on Lisa Ashton. Michael Smith, well, he's plummeted down the world rankings, hasn't he, this year? For anyone that doesn't watch darts all year round, he's been absolutely ravaged by injuries, Michael Smith. He's got multiple injuries as well, shoulder problems, arthritis in both of his wrists, and more recently ankle problems. Posted a video on social media fairly recently of him practicing in what resembled a kind of police tag. to sort of massage his ankle and try and get it right. And it was quite a sad thing to watch, actually, to see that someone who was at the top of the sport 3 years ago, obviously world champion, beating MVG in the 2023 final. And now here he is sort of clambering to try and keep his career going. We did see some positive signs from Michael Smith at the Grand Slam of Darts. He'd done, naff all. He actually missed a lot of the big tournaments through injury or not qualifying, things like the match play, the Grand Prix, which is crazy, really. You just expect Michael Smith to be at these tournaments, but he wasn't. Turned up at the Grand Slam of Darts, having come through the two-card holder qualifier, and then came out of a group with Luke Humphries, Nathan Aspinall, and Alex Spellman, beating Aspinall in his opener, losing to Humphries, beating Spellman to get through. He then beat Chris Dobey 10-9 in the last 16 before falling to Luke Humphries. Now, I would just caveat this with the fact that if you actually look at the numbers he was producing, they were all sort of high 80s, low 90s averages. So it's still nowhere near peak Michael Smith. He's still got a lot of work to do to refine his best game. But what that will have done is build some confidence within him, I think, and just sort of reignite that hunger to compete at the top again. Obviously, this game here, he's a huge favourite, 1-14 best price to beat Lisa Ashton. Lisa Ashton making her 5th appearance at Ali Pali. She's yet to win a game. She has been competitive in 3 of them. She's only been beaten 3-0 once. She had a couple of 3-2 defeats to Adam Hunt, Ryan Meikle. Now, Lisa Ashton gets here actually after winning the Women's World Match Play in July at Blackpool. She was a very surprise winner of that tournament. She beat the red-hot favourite Bo Greaves in the semi-final. Bo was way below her best. And then she beat Fallon Sherrick 6-5 in the final. Lisa was underdog in both of those matches. It was great to see Lisa win that because she's done a hell of a lot for women's darts. She was the flag bearer for a long time, wasn't she, before Sherrick came along and did what she did. And Lisa has always sort of nobly had a good go when she's faced the men without much actual success in terms of victories. I'm not sure this is the place for her to get that victory. Yes, Smith is vulnerable, but you still say that Michael Smith's sort of B game, which is what we saw at the Grand Slam of Darts, is probably going to be too much for Lisa. The 3-0, now this is a bit misleading on Odds Checker because it's saying that the 3-0 is 13-10, which you would definitely be all over. However, if you actually look at this, it's 13-10 with Unibet. That's an oversight. Actually, on the site, it's 1-2, and it is sort of that price everywhere else. Ladbrokes Coral 1-2, Bet365 1-2. So he's 2s on to win this 3-0. Is there any value in that? Possibly. It's not my kind of price. I think you do have to pay Ashton a little bit of respect as well, that she's only been whitewashed once in 4 appearances previously. She also took 4 legs off Jan van Veen at the Grand Slam of Darts herself in the group stages, landed in a horror group with Wessel Nyman, Josh Rock and Van Veen. And yeah, she was 4-4 with Van Veen and lost the decider, but she put it up to him and kept the pressure on him. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Lisa Ashton can't win a set. I do think that 3-0 is the likeliest scoreline. I can't really rely on Michael Smith to give me a rock-solid level of performance, but I expect him to win 3-0. So all in all, this is a no-bet game. If we go on to the third game of the night, this is the arrival of the world champion, Luke Littler versus Darius Labanauskas. Now, Littler, 1-115 places, 1-100. Yes, I mean, I saw somebody saying, like a couple of weeks ago, is Littler 1.04 value to beat Labanauskas? Well, it's certainly not my kind of prices, but I get the point that a lot of people have said Littler's draw is as good as a buy until the last 16. Well, I think that's probably a tad disrespectful, but I also wouldn't disagree with it too strongly. I think he plays the winner of Mario van den Behade or David Davis in round 2, and then even getting further into the tournament, people like Rob Cross, Damon Hetter are the ones that have got the best pedigree, but their TV records or recent form wouldn't fill you with confidence. So, yeah, it's going to be a shock if Littler isn't there come the quarterfinals, when things will obviously ramp up. But by that point, the format will have ramped up as well, and that is certainly in his favour, given he's won pretty much every major this year. It's been a year of absolute dominance on the big stages for Littler. Labanauskas, well, he hasn't currently got a 2-card at the moment, but he's obviously a veteran of the circuit, the Lithuanian, former quarter-finalist at the World Championship in 2020, so not all that long ago. He has a 9-darter on the Ali Pali stage. So Labanauskas and the World Championship do tend to fit quite nicely together. He's had a decent year, Darius. He's mainly been plodding away on things like the Challenge Tour, the Nordic and Baltic Tour. He's been getting call-ups to Pro Tours and giving good accounts of himself. He's beaten some really good players on the floor this year, the likes of Stephen Bunting, the likes of Nathan Aspinall, Ryan Searle. So I don't think Labanauskas is a mug by any means. Initially, when these prices came out, Labanauskas was 9-1 to win a set, which was absolutely a bet for me, and I have backed that myself. As you can see now, the other 3.5 sets is down into 6-1. If you can get that 6-1, I would say that's a bet. As you'll see, most places are sort of 7-2 now. 5-1 with Bet365 is probably about where I have it, to be honest. The 6-1 with Bet Victor is still there. I did check this earlier. I'm just going to share this tab. Yep, so it is still there, as you can see in my bet slip in the top right corner there. So I think 6-1 to win a set is probably still a bet. I'm not going to advise it officially. Myself, I've took 9-1, and I don't want to be going mad against Littler. I do think you have to pay him a lot of respect, as we touched on in our World Championship big preview. He's a very, very worthy favourite and a bit of a scary man to take on, but ultimately it's a set of darts. If Darius was to win the bull, he's going to have to throw in 2 of the 3 sets, and we're looking at maybe 15 darters, which he's more than capable of. So it's like bookmakers don't want to run up liabilities. I think there might be a little bit of value still there if you can get the 6-1, maybe even the 5-1. If you can't get those prices, I wouldn't rush it. This 7-2 that it's coming to now, leave that. So there'll be no official play here for me on this game. I would be looking to back Darius to get a set if the price is right. Not expecting the shock of all shocks. I think Littler will have too much firepower for Darius, but it might not be the cruise that everyone is kind of anticipating, would be my take. Okay, final game of the night then is Madars Razma versus Jamai van den Herik, and this is sort of experience versus youth here. Razma's obviously a stalwart of the circuit now, and a player I've got a lot of time for, really. Has to put in the miles travelling between Latvia and the UK, or Latvia and Germany and stuff, to compete and keep his tour card status, which he's done admirably for a long period now. Obviously renowned for his work on the treble 19s, I think, Razma, by many people. He does, he is capable 180 hitter on his day, but he just, so many of his turns involve the treble 19 that, yes, he is, generally speaking, opposable on 180 lines, and that is kind of what I'm going to be coming on to in a minute here. Jamai van den Herik, for those who haven't heard about him or known about him, he actually qualified here via the World Youth Championship, but he only made the quarterfinals there. He was the benefactor of all 4 semi-finalists having already qualified for the tournament. So van den Herik came in. I think he would have got in via other methods, though, because he's had a really good year on the secondary tours. He won 2 development tours, 2 challenge tours. So very capable young prospect, another one off the Dutch conveyor belt. And he's a player I really like. I backed him on the floor a few times this year. He made a quarter-final at Players' Championship as a first reserve. So he's clearly got ability. He's a name we're going to be hearing more of in the future, I think. Whether he's quite got the big stage pedigree yet, I'm not sure. We haven't really seen him on the big stage much at all. We did see him at the Madars Super Series, and he blew hot and cold there. So I'm not sure that he's quite ready, unless he brings his absolute A game, to beat someone as experienced and consistent as Razma on this stage. I think Razma is a worthy favourite here. I think the match betting prices are about right. However, rather than backing Razma at 8-13 or what have you, there is a workaround here where I like backing Madars Razma. I've used this angle with Razma a few times over the years, particularly now this bet builder tool is available with Bet365, because it's very easy to just build it yourself. If you back Razma to win the game, but van den Herik to hit the most 180s, you're going to get a price of 6-4. Now that was 8-5 last night. It is coming down, but if you're quite confident like me that Razma will prevail in this game, then this is definitely worth considering, because Jamai van den Herik hits 0.21 180s per leg over the course of this season. Razma hits 0.15 180s per leg over the course of this season. Does that make van den Herik a better player than Razma? Not right now. It just means that Razma uses the treble 19 segment more than anybody else, and therefore his 180 chances are lower. So on the numbers, there is a very, very good chance that Razma wins this game, but van den Herik hits the most 180s. So I'd much rather take this 6-4 than back Razma at sort of 8-15. So I think this 6-4, and I probably wouldn't take it much lower, to be honest, but 6-4 is absolutely fine for a single here. You might get a little bit of a drift as well, because van den Herik most 180s may drift a little bit nearly off. But anything around the 6-4 mark, I would make this a bet. So Madars Razma to win, but Jamai van den Herik to hit the most 180s. I think this would be a good entertaining match, probably like something like a 3-1 in sets to Razma. And yeah, a nice one to round off opening night. So just to recap my best bets for night 1 of the PDC World Championship. In the opening game, I'm going to back Arno Merk to upset Kim Huybrechts at 9-4, best price available. Hoping for a little bit of a drift on Merk as well, but it might go the other way. It's hard to know with Merk's sort of unique circumstances, I suppose. And then there's no bet for me officially in the Michael Smith Lisa Ashton games or in the Luke Littler Darius Labanauskas game. I have given a nod to Labanauskas to win a set over 3.5 sets at 6-1 if you can get that price. I think that was with Bet Victor, but we won't record that against the official P&L. And then in the final game, I'm going to back Madars Razma to beat Jamai van den Herik, but van den Herik to get the most 180s. That's backable via the Bet365 bit builder, and you can get 6-4 at the time of recording on that. So we'll have a 2-point single on both of those and chuck 1 point on the double as well, and see how we go on opening night. So yeah, good luck with your bets. I'll be back tomorrow to preview all of the a busy Saturday of action as round one really steps up. But enjoy the opening night, and thanks very much for watching.